This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
And welcome to Wahoo Willie's, everybody. We appreciate you coming out. And the folks in this front row here have no idea what's going on. They have no clue what's going on.
Oh, they're in for a treat.
Yeah. Just so you guys know, where are you from? Where are you guys from? Cincinnati?
Jersey.
New Jersey.
North or South Jersey?
Turn your mic on, dear.
South Jersey.
This is the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, and not her. She's not the mayor of any beach.
She's the mayor of everything.
Yeah, but every Sunday at 11 o'clock, we do a show here with the mayor to talk about the issues going on in Fort Myers Beach. In case the folks from New Jersey don't know, a hurricane came through Fort Myers Beach about, 16 months ago,
yeah,
and did a little damage. And every Sunday, we have the mayor on to talk about the rebuild and to talk about other issues that are going on. And
Well, our Jersey folks look like they're having fun. He's got,
Yeah,
got
they're-
a couple drinks, some coffee.
Yeah. And they're
That's the way to
so
start the
enamored
morning.
by something on the TV here. They just keep looking back at
The
whatever.
golf is on?
There's
Well,
nothing
it's
going
a
on this
basic-
weekend. Nothing. When golf is on, you know
Sports.
nothing's going on.
Wow.
I know, I think
Right?
it's a
That's a
repeat.
surefire way to lose a couple thousand people.
No
Golf?
kidding.
Golf's a thing?
People love golf.
Really? Wow. They were
Florida is
showing
the land of golf.
on this TV over here, they were showing a game where Peyton Manning was still in college. Like what he played for Tennessee or something, right? They were showing that game, Tennessee and Georgia.
Yeah.
How many years ago do you think that was? 30?
No, but they probably got really good ratings because a lot
Yeah.
of Tennessee fans. You know, Andy's a Tennessean.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Andy, the town manager. Very nice.
And he'll tell you every time you ask him.
So, first of all, I need to let everybody know I'm okay. My injuries are fine. I'm not. I didn't suffer any really bad injuries. I got a bad finger, and I got some cuts and bruises. But mostly my pride was hurt yesterday when I fell.
And it wasn't on town property.
No,
so that's
it was on
good.
county property.
Well, I'll tell you, back when I had my construction company, the first thing you teach anybody that comes to work for you is you got to learn how to tuck and roll. 'Cause
No.
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter
matter
of
of
when
when.
you're going to fall off a ladder.
You know what I did do though? I snipped a video of when I fell yesterday, and I sent it to Ray Sandelli and say, Ray, I'm getting an attorney.
You did
Did you get
not.
back?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
No, it was. I don't have any clue if the sidewalk was there or not. I have no idea what happened, but it was an interesting day yesterday.
Yeah.
He was down for at least a full minute catching his breath.
I watched your show last night, and I haven't gone back to watch the video, but is it still up? Did you take it down?
Oh, I snipped that part out just so people can see the fall. I took the part out just so that there's a video of the fall. So I mean, because
Oh, I
if
gotta
you can't
watch
laugh at
Yeah.
yourself, then
He says,
Exactly.
let's go hit the beach. And not even a millisecond
Well,
later,
he
he's
meant
hitting
it.
the floor. He's hitting the ground.
you know the thing when you go home and you realize that all of a sudden this hurts and that hurts. I'm a nearly 60-year-old man that fell like just for
Imagine
no
if
reason.
you weren't in shape.
Right. I mean, can you imagine like a 60-year-old man falling like that hard on the ground, face first into the pavement?
60's not that old. What is your
I mean,
deal?
60's a new 30.
But a 60-year-old man
Exactly.
falling down
Maybe
like
the
that.
new 40. Maybe the new 40.
Wow, I'll go with it. I always get a hard time. Like, well, why don't you get in shape? And round is a shape.
It is a shape. Yes, it is. Nothing wrong with a circle.
No, exactly. And we roll really well. So if we fall, it's just like, we're good. We'll just keep going.
Oh, so you were in Tallahassee
Yeah.
this past week. How you doing? And you were up there. Hopefully, did you bring back a big bag of cash for the beach?
We won't know till session's over, but we certainly gave it our best pitch. And the nice thing about it is we've been up there so many times that when you walk in the room now, people recognize you at least, and they know, they've looked at what you've asked for. And we're not the only ones. Obviously, every other community throughout the state is up there asking for money for something.
Right.
But it's nice to be able to have a rapport with the people that you're talking to. And
Who did you get to meet with?
We would all
Regale us with all of your bigwigs.
no, all of our delegation. Obviously Senator Martin and Adam Botana, and Senate President Pasadomo. we try to cover as many people as we can when we're up there. It was League of Cities, so everybody
see.
pretty much is up there. And these guys, if you don't think they work hard, when you go there for that week and you see the amount of asks and the amount of people that come in, and the fact that most of them are taking diligent notes, and they're writing down, and they really do care. So
But what did you ask for? Like,
Yeah.
did you ask for a specific dollar amount, or did you ask for
Or
specific
different
projects?
program.
yeah, so we had 5 or 6 different asks in. Our biggest asks this year were for revenue replacement, which we asked for last year. We did not get it last year, but the FMB Fire District did. And sometimes at the state level, when they see Fort Myers Beach Fire District, or they see Sanibel, or they see other municipality, they just assume when you're giving something to them that is going to the town.
Mhm.
Obviously, we have we're 2 different taxing districts or 2 different entities, but so revenue replacement was a big one that we were asking for. Help with town hall.
How much revenue replacement did you ask for?
About $7.5 million, and then we asked for $8 million for a town hall. We when Chris and Keith were down here, we just got some preliminary numbers, because you got to get preliminary numbers.
Mhm.
And they come in, the people that we had come in asked us, like, how much space do you need for this, and how much space do you need for that, how much did you have before? And then they put all the numbers together, and it's just a very rough number, and it came back at like 25 million. Not that's what would be
To
built.
replace.
No, well, to build, if you could build back exactly what you think you need based on space, because we knew and we know that permitting area is going to have to be bigger over the next however many years.
So
We knew
town
that-
hall's going to cost 25?
No,
Oh, I
no,
see.
no. It was just you have to put a number on
Yeah,
something, and without
okay.
having somebody actually do so they sat down with each department, and each department said, if we could have this, and we could have this, and we could have this, and that's what it came out at. Obviously, 25 million wasn't going to happen, but last year when we were up there, the legislators told us flat out, you're not getting 25 million.
Okay.
So, they're not going to give you 20. The way it kind of works is you ask for things, but what I've learned, at least I think what we've learned, is you have to ask for what you can spend. They're not going to give you money just to be able to sit in the bank and
Right.
that's taxpayers' dollars. It's got to go for something. And they tasked us with sharpening our pencil and trying to come up with things. And so we got it down to about 8 million, where we think we could potentially buy something, or we could at least give us a step up. This morning, Andy sent me a video of town hall with 5 buckets. The whole roof is leaking in the town hall trailers.
The new town hall trailers?
Not the new ones. No,
Oh,
the ones we've been in for
I
a
see.
while. They're just,
That
he's
you're
got
getting out of.
garbage cans all over the place, because water is just.
The reason that you're not in the new town halls because FPL
Yes.
is MIA and haven't hooked up the power yet, or you'd already
We've
be
got
there.
we've got a temporary generator set up now, so we've got
Oh.
power in there. It's just a matter of finishing some of the fine details.
And then you can move into the new
then we can
trailers
move
that
into the new
don't
trailers.
leak.
Yeah,
You
well, the fire department was gracious enough
Yes.
to give us a little bit of time to stay on their property a little longer. So we're hoping to get all that finalized. We've had communication with thanks to Adam Batana, who put us in contact with some FPL people that it seems like we've got the ball rolling. And we're
You know, the
getting some things.
FPL thing, I know I'm
Here
going
we
to sound
go.
irritating, but the FPL thing, when the storm hits, they make it sound like they're ready for action. They got trucks that are lined up outside the storm area. They're ready to go in and put everyone's power on. And now you can't even get them to answer the phone.
Well, so Megan, I'm out running around yesterday, and I get home last night, and Megan, she's like, I came home and there was an FPL guy out beside our house. And I said, what do you mean? She's like, he was replacing the meter. I said, the meter's new. What do you mean he's replacing the meter? And she's like, literally, I mean, everybody's meter's new, right? So
Right.
she's like, no, he was very nice. He was very pleasant, but he was replacing the meter. I'm like, well, what?
Did you send them
Why?
over to town hall?
Right.
So, I'm going to keep a close eye on my bill. I mean, I've been doing a lot of complaining lately with the FPL. Maybe my bill's going to triple. I
Next
don't know.
time
but-
you get a bill for
I'm
$2
joking.
grand.
I'm joking, but they were there yesterday replacing our meter. That something was defective or something, but we didn't know they were coming. We didn't. All of a sudden, the microwave thing's blinking, everything's blinking.
Yeah. So before I forget, two things. There is going to be a concert tonight at Bayside Park. It's still on at 4:00. I've completely drawn a blank on who the band is.
You
If anybody
asked,
knows who the
too.
band is, I asked Peter who it was 10 minutes ago. If anybody knows who the band is, there will be a band from 4 to 7 tonight.
Obviously, you hit your head yesterday.
and I'm going to wear a helmet when I walk from now on. I'm just going to wear a helmet with a cage on
Or
it.
smaller
We're
shoes.
going to give you a walker. You can walk with a walker.
Were you
and-
wearing flip flops or tennis shoes when you?
I had my sneakers on. I was totally
Flip-flops?
prepared to walk.
No, flip flops.
Listen, this is a restaurant. No one wants to talk about his feet or see his feet. No.
Megan says the same thing about me. She said, I think I
No.
have very nice feet.
Nobody has nice feet,
No,
Dan.
that's true. That's
Nobody. And the second thing is we are going to have an accountant on the show next week. And I know that might sound a little dull, but there's all this stuff going on with the House of Representatives just passed this tax act where the hurricane is now been a qualified disaster, which means everybody on the beach can file their taxes.
Well, not just on the beach.
Well, that's all we
Yeah.
care about is the people
Well,
on the beach.
No,
that
we
they can,
care about everybody that was
We do?
affected by the beach, by the
anyway,
storm.
you can file for your expenses, and
Yep.
you're going to get more money back. So we want to explain next weekend on the show at Margaritaville.
Yeah, it took a little longer than everybody obviously hoped, but the fact that they're getting it done.
When I asked the congressman on Friday why it took so long, did you hear what his answer
no,
was?
I haven't watched it.
His answer was, well, Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, had issues with, he couldn't, he couldn't, they kicked him out. All that crap that was going on really was detrimental to the people on the beach because they couldn't get anything done.
Well, that's,
Well, I think it was detrimental to a lot of people.
yeah, everybody that was affected by
Who
the
gives a
storm.
shit
Yeah.
about anybody except for the people on the beach? They're getting screwed 9 ways from Sunday on this beach, from the insurance companies to the government to FEMA.
Yeah,
Thank
so-
God for you, Dan. You're the only one not screwing these people.
Well, yeah, I don't have the authority or the power nearly to do what some of these things that are happening, but it's one thing I've learned in government. It takes whatever you're accustomed to, whatever your background is, whatever business you've been in, slow it down by 50.
No kidding.
And I mean, you remember you guys are old enough to remember the old record players, and you had the different speeds on it.
Yeah.
Well, whatever the lowest speed is, add another one. And that's kind of
Yeah.
how government works. It's just a lot of processes, a lot of tape that you have to go through. And sometimes there are people like our governor that, just step up and say, we're going to cut the red tape. We're going to get the causeway rebuilt. We're going to, it can happen, but it takes a natural, act of God. to happen.
It's
Did you get to finish all the other things you asked for money, or did he just cut you off?
No, I mean, obviously beach renourishment, infrastructure stuff, all the things that you kind of ask for every year. But for us, the two big things were revenue replacement. And, we did get we were the first ones to get the loan from the Department of, not EDO. I want to say EDO.
FDEM.
FDEM, but so we were the first ones, 11.9 million. That's the last resort, and that can only go towards operational expenses. It can't go to its capital improvement. So we couldn't use that for a town hall if we wanted to. Did you bring you a blue moon? Is that what
Yeah.
Nice. Where's your orange?
I got people here, man.
You're
waiting on me.
All you do is just look over and wink, and next thing you know, drink.
No,
shows
what
up.
happened was he brought one over and I went to grab it and it wasn't there anymore. He took it away. He's like, okay, you're cut off. You can only have two. So-
Yeah, we see what happens if you maybe.
I was not drunk yesterday at 8:00 in
Maybe
the
you
morning. I was
should have been.
totally sober when I fell down. I'm just old, man.
And uncoordinated.
So
and
no,
that-
I mean, back to what you were saying. You go up and you try. They get inundated so much with
Right.
people asking for things. You try to be as brief as you can, get to the point. Andy and I and Frankie and Jason Freeman were up there, and Chris Holly, and we try to get to the point. And
Chris
be very-
and
But
Keith
let
are
me
still
just
around,
ask,
huh?
So you got 8 million total.
No, we don't. No. This is what we asked for.
Okay.
So last year we got out of appropriations 22 million, roughly.
Last year got 22 million.
Plus all the other things that obviously the
Right,
state did
right.
to help with cleanup and all that. But actual appropriations from our legislators, we got 22 million. We're asking for close to the same this year. Obviously, the governor you've heard is sharpening the pencil and trying to cut some of the budget. So we don't know exactly what we're going to get. We tried to make sure that we're following suit. We'll sharpen our pencil. We don't want to ask for more than what we need.
Mhm.
You don't want to be greedy. You want to ask for what you need and have a good reason why you need it.
And ready to spend it. They want you to be ready
Yes.
to spend it. They don't
Yep.
want you to put it in your bank account
he said
for a
that.
future
And-
rainy day.
They have questions. They do their research and they have questions. And obviously, one of the big questions was permitting. Last year, it was people were complaining about permitting.
You don't hear that a lot anymore.
Well, no, you address. I think if you're trying to be good at what you do, you try to listen to what people have an issue with and try to correct it. And I think this council has done very well in trying to address it. And Andy and Frankie have brought in Jacobs, and those guys are
Yeah.
getting it out of the park so
Yeah.
far.
This is kind of off the topic a little bit, but we haven't talked about it in a while. The letters that went out to business, folks, business or otherwise, who
Right.
needed to have their buildings that have not been touched since the storm. They went out. What's the status of that?
Well, I can't remember what meeting it was. 2 or 3 meetings ago, we gave direction to staff to draft a very stern letter, set it out, and say you get this
Stern
much,
letter.
you get this much time. But you have to deal with legal too. There's
Right.
statutes that you have to follow. So Nancy and Becky are dotting the i's and crossing the t's. And
Is
So
there-
how many is that? Do you know how
I
many?
don't know the number.
Do
no.
you think it's going to come to the point where there's one building or home or like that piece of crap home that's next to the Pink Shell parking lot
He's
on the
list.
Bayside?
Yeah.
I mean, is there going to be one example that the town makes of where they just go in and hammer it down, knock it down?
No, I don't. It's not about the town making an example. It's about you want to make sure that you're being good neighbors and you're being good stewards. And
Right.
if you're not,
He's not.
then the town will have to unfortunately do
Yeah.
something that. We
But do you
don't
think
wanna
it'll come
do.
to that? Do you think
I
they'll?
think there'll be properties that'll come to that, and we'll have
Nice.
to lien the properties.
Hope that's
I mean,
on video.
I think
So then you put a lien on the property and then you
Well,
take
there's
it.
steps. There's steps that
Yeah.
get to it. You
It's
know,
probably a year
you-
away.
Right.
Well,
Right.
it's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
You can't just go say it's been
No,
14, 15
obviously,
months.
no.
You know, we're going to come and take your house.
We're getting a lot of questions from the audience, not this audience here, but so we'll rip through them. What's
Sure.
going on with the lights on Estero Boulevard? Every weekend we ask about the lights on Estero Boulevard. Come on, man. When is it going to start?
But what we've got, as soon as they get the poles, the fixtures. They have fixtures. Believe it or not, of all the things that we're waiting on are the poles. We're not
Not
we.
transformers.
FPL,
the
not
poles.
transformers. The pole. When they get the poles, we've given them 3 staging areas where they can put the poles: south, middle, north end of the island. So,
But do you realize how silly that sounds? FPL has one job: to put lights up. You would
Well,
think they have poles in the backyard of their.
You know, we've been dealing with this for so long. It's important to remember how we got here.
Yeah.
Remember way back in the day, I think it was 2017, 2018, when Bruce Butcher was pushing and
Yeah.
the county did the MPO study, and they came in, and the gentleman, I can't remember his name, was very intelligent, knew lighting in and out, proposed. It would have been done in a year after
Yeah.
that, but things got out of, we got into the weeds on some things, and
Yeah.
and
Then a storm hit.
we at the time it was, we should listen to the experts, except for when we don't agree with the experts, and then
Oh.
Have they given you a date, a time,
No, they have not. They haven't.
and not even an
But
approximation?
FPL gets bashed
This
a lot.
year?
But what I will tell you, with this project, at least, FPL has been. I mean, before they even had a penny, and they still haven't gotten $1 from us that we were receiving through the state. The county is no longer involved in the transfer of money now. It's going directly from the state to us through FPL. So, which is good for everybody.
Mhm.
Anytime you can get one step
less.
of the cog out of the
Mhm.
way. So that'll happen. But we signed the contract with them with no money. They
Right.
placed
It's
the order.
totally not on the town. It's totally on FPL. Like, I mean, come on already. It's so dangerous.
There's 100% agree. There's 2 projects that's going on. Estero Boulevard, we all know, is Lee County's road, but we've been trying to fight the fight since that MPO study to get what works best for everybody, environmentally as well as public safety. It took a while to get there, but the county agreed to do the crosswalks. So the county doing the crosswalks, they have to integrate that plan with the plan for the rest of Estero Boulevard. So FPL is doing all of it, but they're dealing with the county for that, and they're dealing with us for the rest of the streetlights. I know it's a lot of window dressing, but it's coming.
Yes.
Put it this way, we're much closer than we were 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. The contract signed, the product's been ordered. Now it's just a matter of getting.
I
the
know
product
you don't
put
even
in.
you even hate when that question comes up
I
because
don't
you
hate
don't
it. I don't
because
hate
you
it.
can't
I just-
answer it. I mean,
Well,
you have
Well,
no
there's just
control.
no
No, I can answer it.
change on
I
it.
hate answering it the same exact
Yeah.
way every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It's 6 months ago it was, we're working on it. Now the contract's signed. The project's going to happen. We've gotten the photometric study. We've gotten the lighting plan of where they're going to put all the poles. All of that stuff has come in. Now it's just waiting, like everyone else, waiting for product.
So another thing that came up on the Facebook is why do people drive golf carts on the sidewalks, motorcycles in the bike lane, and drive their vehicles in the sand? Why do they still do it? Like every time I post a picture, I'm thinking this will be the last one I ever post. And then the next day it happens again.
It's entitlement. I mean, I try to, when I talk to people, and I think if
You're
you
in the golf cart business.
I'll tell you, if it was one of our golf carts, if I ever see one of our golf carts on your Facebook page, they won't have it. It'll be gone. And we tell them that when we check them in. If you're on the beach, if you're on the sidewalk, if you're in the bike lane, you're going to come out of wherever you're having lunch and that cart's going to be gone.
Mhm.
But I'm always with a trailer. I'm always on
Right.
the island.
There's one out there with a
Yeah.
golf
You're just
cart
gonna
on
go
it.
repossess
I will
it.
just go pick it up, but they know that from the beginning. And
Right.
it's not to be rude, and people, you can't go over the bridge. You can't, there's things that you can't do, just like a rental car.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't get in a rental car and have a 2.0 blood alcohol level and think it's
Right,
okay.
right.
So can you put a low jack on the golf cart so when it goes over the bridge, that's it?
You could. We don't. I mean,
Okay.
we do put we do have air tags in our vehicles, and we tell them that that's not you. If anybody knows anything about air, it doesn't. It's not a GPS. It doesn't. It just tells you the last known location. So if somebody loses the card or something gets stolen, we can let the Lee County Sheriff's Office. And we
Somebody would lose a car.
Well, we had it happen on one of our bikes. Someone took a bike out of Pink Shell. They went in. They were downtown in Times Square. Went in to go to the bathroom. Came out and the bike was gone.
Wow.
Oh.
They call us like the bike's gone. I could look up and see exactly the last location of the bike, which was on Miramar. And I was going to go get it. And I thought, well, maybe I should just call the Lee County Sheriff's Office. And they're glad I did. And what they said makes sense. It's, you never know who took it. You could show up.
Right. You don't want a confrontation.
Let them do it, because you never know who you're going to deal with. So we do that. And we're very diligent. If we say, no, we can't control once you hand the keys over to somebody, you can't control what.
Right. And
Can the sheriff's deputies write tickets for that?
Yeah.
Oh,
and
sure.
will they have
sure.
that?
If they
Do you
catch
know
them,
of?
if they catch them, sure.
I think the sheriff's
there's anything
deputies are being kind to people that get stuck, and I don't know if they've ever caught anybody riding their golf cart on the sidewalk, but I think they're kind of saying, dude, you can't do that. They're probably not writing tickets. I don't think they want to do that.
I've been talking to a sheriff's. There wasn't this year. It was last year. Talking to a sheriff's deputy, and as we're standing there talking, a guy on a motorcycle went by us on the sidewalk. While we're standing there talking, he's like, "Sorry, I got to go," and he jumped in his car and he went after and he got him. If they see it, they can do something about it. If
Well,
they
at
don't
least
see
give
it,
people a warning so that if they don't know,
Right.
which whatever.
But it's becoming. Cars are doing it now. We were in traffic. We went to the Jay Allen concert last night, and we were sitting in traffic to leave the island, and cars were driving down the middle lane to bypass traffic. Now, I would never let anybody in that I saw doing that, but there are some people that just slow down and let them in. And I thought I don't know. There's no other word than entitlement. People feel it.
Yeah. All right. So let's see.
What about the Wyndham? Somebody was asking
what I
about
wanted
that.
to.
You wanna
Okay,
save it?
let's lead up to that. Tomorrow is a big town council meeting. You got a lot of interesting things on the agenda. You're going to buy some sand. You're going to buy some furniture for the town hall.
Lease
some furniture, and you're going to vote on a new town council member.
Yeah.
So who are you going to vote for?
Yeah.
You'll find out tomorrow.
So
we have good candidates.
Great candidates. You have great candidates.
When this first
when you
came
see
up,
all these people walking in with their blue hoodies on, isn't that a cool thing?
I
mean,
know.
it really is a cool thing.
They're not going to be upset and leave early.
Yeah. I don't think these people left early, dear. They were here a long time, right? Were they upset? They weren't upset. They were here a long time. They ate breakfast.
I don't know. He gave me the middle finger as he was leaving.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Well,
No,
maybe
I'm
they
just
were
kidding.
upset then.
I'm just kidding.
I did hear him say, "I'm glad you fell yesterday." I thought that was kind of rude.
Yeah.
No, but what was the question again?
Leading up to tomorrow's.
asking about the
Tomorrow's
candidates,
vote.
the
So
candidates,
you do
yeah.
have a lot of great people for that one.
We
I
do,
mean, you
and
got five great people.
When this first came about, it was, it doesn't happen very often. Obviously, I think
Right.
it was like 2015 or something when this
Summer.
happened before.
Summer
But
Stockton.
it was our policies really didn't have or don't have a very direct path on how it happened. I mean, it's there and there's a path, but it's not. So the fact that, I was thinking, geez, are we not going to get anyone, or,
Right.
And now that we've got 5, we had 6, now we've got 5. It's
Remind
it's nice to have
people
options.
how that works. There has to be a 3 or 4 to 1.
Yeah, majority. It has to be a majority vote. So it could be 3 to 1. It can't be 2 to 2.
Right. You have to have 3 votes.
Sure.
And so how long, what is your prediction on how many times you might have to go
Good question.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't
know.
think the first person's going to get on the first vote.
You don't think so?
I don't think there's going to be somebody's going to have to flip. But that's just from my conversations with the other council members.
Well,
But I could be wrong.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. That's the thing. Even when the process is going to be the same as we do with other committees. You're going to get a piece of paper, then you do the candidates, and you vote.
Yep.
And it's all public record afterwards. But
Yep.
you'll vote, and hopefully all 5 will come tomorrow, and they're going to get a chance to speak at the sales, the best sales pitch you can give.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting process, because if whoever gets selected, or whoever one of the 5 decides they want to run again in November, I mean, this is a very small piece of what you have to do
Yes.
to get elected. So
Does it matter to you whether the person runs?
That was my question.
Go ahead, ask it. Finish my
Yeah.
question.
Does it matter to you whether the person, says that they are going to run again, or just going to do it for the 8 months?
Not really. I mean, we've heard
She's
some
so
candidates
smart.
say they're not going to do it. We've heard some candidates,
It doesn't
say-
matter to you.
But to
they are
you, it
gonna-
doesn't.
To me, it doesn't matter if they're going to do it or not, because you could love it,
Right. You could learn a lot for sure.
And in 8 months, you decide you want to do it.
Yes.
I mean, to ask someone,
Okay.
you need one.
$5. Is it $5?
Sure.
Yeah. Or you could decide there's so much work involved
Yeah,
that,
that
oh
you
my
don't wanna be
gosh, I didn't know what it was going
involved.
to be.
And I think
Thank you.
Sorry, we don't
whoever-
have our salesperson here today. That's
Thank you.
That's
That's
all right.
fine.
That's
It's
we
a
love
dinky
that.
little podcast.
Hey,
That happens all the
somebody-
time. So
Somebody came on and
What's your
sang
name?
us a show
You look from-
song
what?
yesterday.
Rich.
Rich,
Where you
where are
from,
you
Rich?
from, Rich?
Michigan.
Nice.
we love Michigan. We're going to go do a show in Michigan
What
in the
part of the
summertime.
All right, you guys go to Michigan. I'm going to stay here.
Okay.
Good.
We're not
I hear
going
ya.
to go to Michigan
All right.
till it thaws out, though.
Yeah,
Sorry.
summertime. Summertime.
No, I think it's 8 months is a long time.
Yeah.
And you could decide you love it or you could decide you hate it. But
Mhm.
once you make that commitment,
It really is a full-time job
it's more than a full-time job
because
If
of
you-
what's going on now.
I mean, before the storm, it was a full-time job. I mean, there's a lot of things to read. Like our packet is 513 pages.
That's
It's
crazy.
a lot of stuff to read. It's a lot of information.
I
If
read
you
it
really-
all, Dan. I read it all.
I'm sure you did.
You read all of it?
I read every page of the agenda for tomorrow.
You
I
did?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you like to read though.
Well, some of
He
it,
does like to
some of
read.
it you
He
can
can't
stand
remember it,
Well, some of
but
his
he's
contract
read
stuff,
it.
through. Yeah. That. But
if you actually read through a lot of it, you do catch some things.
Yeah.
I mean, you catch
there's stories in
grammatical
that.
errors.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things in there.
There's what, Aaron?
Grammatical errors.
I don't catch those. I don't catch the
I'm
spelling or the
horrible.
math errors.
I'm good at math. I'm horrible at English. So if you ever
Oh.
see something for me and you're like, why didn't you put a comma or why didn't you do that? It's
So the way
was
the
the least-
process,
As long as the comma isn't in the wrong place, if it's, a money amount.
right?
exactly.
So lastly, on the town council, and we're going to have Sal on after you. He's here. He's the final candidate that we're going to have on for the position tomorrow. The way I understand it is the agenda, you'll do the meeting. It'll be the last thing on your agenda. You'll hear from all the candidates, then you'll vote. And then that person will be sworn in for the next meeting, which will be in 2 weeks. Is that correct?
That's my understanding. I think that's the fairest way to do it because we do have second readings on some of the things tomorrow. So I think to do it at the beginning and try to,
Right.
the staff needs time to get them their emails and their computers and get them up to speed and get them on the payroll
Right.
and do all those things. And so it takes a little time.
Do you guys have any plans to double your salaries like they did in Cape Coral in the dark of
No,
night or
no,
anything
there's-
like
there-
that?
There's no stipends that
Okay.
I've seen.
You don't
come
have any
forward.
expenses you want the taxpayers to pay for no reason or
No,
anything
there,
like
there
that?
are things that there are things you can turn in expenses for like gas receipts and stuff like that.
Sure.
but I've never done one. I don't.
Yeah. So let's go to the pier, the Fort Myers Beach Pier. It was
the
last.
pier. We haven't talked about that in 24 hours.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Well,
well,
it's time.
Alan Chinosky made a presentation of the pier the other night, and as he was making the presentation, he was shooting daggers at me because I think last week I called his pier Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
Because it really is a Taj Mahal compared to what it was.
Right.
But he refers to it as an above average pier or below average pier or something like this.
Yeah.
Lee County, for the most part, is going to rebuild the pier the way it was with resiliency. That's the vibe you get from Lee County. And maybe it's going to be higher, maybe it's going to be wider, maybe it's going to be, able to withstand the next category 4 or 5 hurricane, who knows, but that's
Well, I think
that's
it
the
will
road
be.
they're going
Well,
down. Do you agree?
It'll certainly be. I can't speak for the county commissioners. I don't know what their plan is. I know that I've spoken to several of them, or about this. They've asked, what does the town want? And we'd all love to see a bigger, better pier. It will definitely be stronger. Whatever gets done, it'll be more resilient.
It has to be.
Will it be? The pier. Not that I'm trying to defend the county, but it's one piece of a major cog. We're dealing with Fort Myers Beach.
Yes.
They're
Right.
dealing with everything. I mean, there's
160
still street signs,
projects.
there's-
Right.
they've got a lot of things. It's not that it's not important to them. They understand the relevance of or that asset for Lee County as well as the town of Fort Myers Beach. But you like anything else, when you build a house, you build the house to what you can afford. Everybody would love to have more, bigger, better things. You'd like to have a nicer car, but when you go to a car dealership, you buy what you can afford. Now there's ways to pay for it. I think everybody understands how you can pay for that. Honestly, I don't know what's going to come out of it. I know that at least it's moving forward. It's going to take a little bit of time.
Sure.
I think it'll be maybe a little bit different than what it was. Will it be, you can look at the Bay Oaks project. When you task the Bay Oaks the committee
Yeah,
to
we talked
think
about
big,
that with
think
Barbara
big,
Hill.
right?
It's like
You know,
15 million,
think
and
big,
then
and then it's like, okay,
you got 5
Well,
million to work with.
well,
Yeah.
they led them down a bad path when they said think big, because they never were going to give them the think big project. So I thought that was bad from the beginning.
well,
but
yeah.
on the pier, you guys can't handle traffic now. I'm not saying you, but if you want to build this gigantic Taj Mahal pier, sorry, Alan, I mean, that's going to be even a bigger attraction. There was nothing wrong with the pier the way it was. Why does it need to be bigger, wider? Why does it need to have pavilions and restaurants and, why cartwheels and Ferris wheels? And why?
No one's
wrong with
asking
it?
for cartwheels and Ferris
The sun
wheels.
will always set.
Well,
The sand will always be on the beach.
I think it's that the adage, if you build it, they will come. Well, they were coming anyway.
They're always going to come here.
Mhm.
I there's a few things that I think you could do to. We went to a pier that was up just out of Georgia, and it was very beautiful. It had a little like pavilion in the center of it as you walked out where they would play concerts and stuff, but it wasn't major. And then you could go out and you could fish off the end. I mean, there's things that I think you could do to enhance it.
Mhm.
I think
Sure.
everybody loved the little fishing store that was there.
Yes.
Which
I mean, it was-
cannot go back,
Right,
correct?
Right.
From what I've heard.
I mean, if you
I mean,
build
Brian
it high
Hammond
enough,
makes it sound like you can't fish off a pier anymore because the feds are totally against it.
We were at FGCU, Brian Hammond, myself, Colonel Booth, Dana Sosa. We were all at a
Look at
speaking
you with
event
all the
last week.
muckety mucks,
Well, it
throwing
was- it
names
was-
around
well,
like
no,
you're
it
a
was
big deal
But
now.
the reason I say it is because Colonel Booth had a very different perspective. When you're dealing with piers, it's not just building it. Everybody, the seagrass, when the
Right.
shadowing and all these other things that they have to look at. It's not just build a pier, whatever you want. I mean, I think if we could have the pier, we'd build it exactly how we've seen, the Let's Go F&B group do their hard work and put that together. But is it going to be a reality? I don't know. I don't know what the cost. I mean, you got to get the costs. You got to.
Well, Alan,
this is that thing that I went back at the
but
beginning.
the thing, Alan found $10 million. In addition, if you saw the presentation, he found $10 million. He says he found $10 million on top of the 8 that he says it's going to cost. But the $10 million is not his to find. He's digging money out of other like he says. The CDBGR money is going to cost $55 million to administer. Well, that's not going to really cost that much. So you take $10 million out and give it to the pier. I mean, I don't know what's going on with that money.
If it was only that simple, things would get done much
70%
quicker.
of that has to go to.
It's
It's different. No, it's admin. It's $55 million to admin.
Oh, the 55.
$1.1 billion is a lot of money, and
Yeah.
to drop that in someone's lap, especially if you're not expecting it. The county got tasked a very, very, very big.
Yes.
And, they've got a plan together. We agree with, I would say, 80% of their plan, but there's 20% that we don't agree with.
Yes.
That's why we're going up to DC this week. We're leaving tomorrow. We're going to go up there and
Dude, you're going to DC to hang out with the real big muckety mucks. So you're going to see up there. Byron,
Who
else?
Rubio, Scott. We're going to HUD
Biden.
secretary. No, we're just going up to say, we're trying to fight for what we think is right. And
Right.
Is you going to get some Fed money too, or
no? Well, our biggest concern, obviously, we'll be asking for things for infrastructure and stuff like that. But our big thing is the CDBGR funds. We think economic revitalization should be a part of that.
Yeah.
We've been very vocal about it. We've been talking with the county about it. They chose not to put it in their program, which is their choice, but it has to be reviewed at the federal level. So we're going to go up there and say, well, when you're reviewing it, please take this into consideration.
So how do you politically weave your way through that? It's almost like you're going around the county.
No, I think
No,
it's
you
it's not at
told
all.
the county what you
Yeah,
wanted.
we've
They
been
didn't give
very
it to you.
we've been
So,
we,
yeah.
we gave our just like Sanibel and other communities did, we gave our rebuttal to the initial plan,
Mhm.
and we talked with county staff, and you don't being a bully or being argumentative is not a way to get things done.
Well,
in
you're
my
going
opinion.
through the
No,
chain.
you're not
You
a
went
bully.
to them
Yeah,
that
you-
didn't,
you
and
make
now you're going
you
on
make your
ahead.
pitch, and for
Right.
they have the reasons why they didn't include it. We weren't in on their meetings. We don't know why it wasn't included. I mean, we know what they've told us, but there had to be a reason why they did it. We don't necessarily agree with that.
Right.
We're asking for something we feel is very simple, even a small portion of that 1.1 billion in the economic revitalization.
It's crazy
is-
because the beach is not getting a dime from that money.
well,
It's not a dime
the census that's being used pretty much eliminates Fort Myers Beach and Santa
because it's not low income.
the two hardest hit areas pretty much.
How crazy is
leaves
that?
us out of that funding, and
How frustrating is that for you?
well, it's frustrating when you have the deputy secretary, the HUD secretary down here on your beach saying we're here to help. And they do a press conference and they say help's coming, and then, in our opinion,
Nothing.
there's-
Crickets.
So we're going to bring that to their attention and say, here's the video. You said
Here's
we're
the
gonna-
clip.
and
Yeah.
And here's the Pinocchio of you lying, saying that you were going to
No,
help.
you don't
It was
do that.
well, it was
You
the same
don't.
way when Biden
I
came to
think
town
you-
and
you
say
just-
we're going to need help. We're going to be here for the longest time forever, and then he never qualified the disaster.
Yeah.
That was the thing that was crazy. How could you not qualify a Category 5? It was a Category 5 hurricane, and a tornado went through Hibiscus, and
Yeah.
you can't. I mean, that's
don't know.
totally political.
I won't disagree with you. Usually
Okay.
HUD funding goes to the state to be dispersed, not to the county. I mean, people can draw conclusions
Can
however
we
they
move
want,
on to
but
something more
Yes, go right
local
ahead,
here?
dear. You're in
Are we going to
charge.
talk about the Wyndham? Are we going to talk
I
about
don't.
the
I don't. We
outrigger?
can, but I don't think Dan has any
Did you? So you
inside
did
info
not
on the
go
Wyndham.
to the. Did you see the presentation earlier this
That's
week?
not the Wyndham. That's the outrigger.
Yeah, the
Sorry.
outrigger.
I
I
was
said
not.
the
No, we
Wyndham,
were
the outrigger.
coming back from Tallahassee, so I didn't get. But I have seen the presentation before.
Seven-
I saw it.
So what do you
17
think?
stories going to get approved.
It's going to be difficult. I think it's going to be. I mean, I think people enjoy the project. I think people love the project.
Yes.
I certainly think it's great.
Yes.
But it's got to go through the process. What they're asking for and what that ultimately will be submitted
Mark,
might be two different
Mark
things.
admitted-
Mark is a great guy.
Yes.
I'll tell you, he's committed. Both he and the people that are developing the Red Coconut property have been very intuitive to asking questions, listening to people. Now, at the end of the day, to them, it's dollars and cents, right? It has to make sense. It doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
So, but just because it doesn't make sense for them, it has to be a community partnership, and I think they understand that, and I think they're going through the process to make that happen.
there needs to
What-
be an anchor on the south end because
Sure.
it's Santini Plaza just seems like it's in quicksand. And I know even if outrigger gets approved, it's years away.
Sure.
But that would be a killer anchor. It's probably never going to be 17 stories. It doesn't sound like
Right.
anybody's ready to approve 17 stories. And I don't know what Mark's plan B is. He's saying he doesn't have a plan B, which I get. But that would be a really nice anchor in that spot. People love the outrigger.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can make that work on the beach or not.
and I think Jim made a very good point on your show yesterday that, I agree with him. It's not about stories. It's about height. It's if someone said you can only have 60 feet, we'll just use a number. You can have 60 feet. If I can fit 4 stories in that 60 feet, is it a height issue or is it a story? I mean, you got to look at the height. You look at Margaritaville, it's so high, and then across the street there's houses that are higher
Yes.
than that. And
Yes.
it doesn't because they have more stories. It's just higher.
Yeah.
Right.
So you got to look at the height. I think people sometimes get caught up in stories when you're looking at height. And when you read a lot of studies, once you get over 4 to 6 stories or 4 to 6 feet above elevation, whatever, but you don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's-
So, lastly, on London Bay, is there anything that you can say to Mark about, like the Charlie's lot that's now gone? Is there any way they can put a silt fence to block the canal? Because the neighbors have been saying to us that all the garbage is flying into the canal. It's not being blocked. And
Sure.
I
Yeah, I'll
maybe
check.
that's something you've never heard from the neighbors. But if they could put
I'll give him a call when we're done with the show.
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd be more than happy to make sure that gets done.
cool.
Yeah, people were really interested in what's going to go on there. There was a lot of questions about that, but
Yeah.
he wasn't ready to talk about what's going to go on there.
Charlie's.
Yeah.
Plus,
on
they also
Charlie's
own the
Spot.
Sandpiper. What do you think will go there? Condos?
I don't know. I did sit in a presentation for Lahaina, which is just to the south of that. They've got, I think it was 1,100 owners. So trying to get 1,100 people to agree. And it was with a developer that's developing something else on the island. And
Wait, who owns that now?
nobody owns it. It was up for sale
Oh.
and it was under contract, but
Oh.
it was never a finalized sale. And I think it's back on the market again.
I see.
So what the proposal that they were kind of showing what they wanted to do was similar to not Margarita, but the height of Margaritaville, 3-4 stories above parking. It wasn't grandiose by any stretch of the imagination, but to be able to do that, the price was going to be too expensive. And I think it went back on the market. I think it's back on the market. So
What was it priced for? Do you know?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't.
So somebody
Jorge
named,
might know that.
Megan wants me to ask you about your hat.
Yeah. So we unboxed the, still unboxing stuff that we were able to save, and my business hat.
Wow. How old is that business?
It's since 2018. I do it. I've always been an AV, so I
Yeah.
started in 2018. I started my own AV business, and do kind of that kind of stuff. So Fawn the hats came out of the
Aw.
box. So I thought, I'm going to wear it. And so she she's like, make sure you mention that we found it. So I'm glad.
Megan, are there any other questions you want me to ask your husband while he's here that maybe you don't ask him? So, what else is going on in the town-wise that everybody needs to know about?
Well, we'll be in the trailers hopefully soon. Town hall meetings will start happening at the new trailers. I haven't gotten an official date. We're doing our best to try to get off the fire district's property. We've been there. They've been very gracious for letting us stay, but they've got to move on too. So we're trying to do that. We're still going after every bit of funding that we can to do the projects as we can. We're trying to get the pool. We're working on the pool now. We're trying to hopefully get something going with that. It's nice to have Bay Oaks is back open. The gym is, if you haven't been in there, the equipment is
it looks
beautiful.
great.
So, during our meetings, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lady that comes in every single day for every meeting. And the first meeting we had there, she walks around the whole perimeter of the basketball
Which
courts.
Where the meetings are being held. Yeah.
Where the meetings are being held. And she's got 2 weights in her hands. And the first meeting, she would just walk right behind us as we're having a council meeting. And then the second meeting we had there, they cut it in half and did that. So it was interesting.
Nice.
But it's nice to see people that were coming in and using the gym. And hopefully the ball field, the softball field's going on. I think Frankie mentioned and talked about the water projects that we're working on. So we
with
put
the thing with the water projects that he brought up, it's the thing that's frustrating is they still don't have a list of where they're going to start. Right. They've been saying for a long time they're going to have a list, and they don't have that list, and that is really frustrating. When he said it again the other night, and I love Frankie, but it's like, dude, come on, man, put that list out. You've been saying that for months.
It's kind of like the lighting thing. We've been talking about it for months, and it never seems to get off the ground. Trust me, Frankie's tired of hearing about it, and not just from public, but from the council members. I'm sure. When are we getting this going? And I wish I could tell you what the list. I think he laid out all the streets, the most important streets. And when we gave our pitch to Representative Donalds for our federal appropriations last week, it was a lot of it. The $10 million was for stormwater improvement. And the question was asked, is this something that you can use right away? Well, $8 million could go a long way to improving these streets that flood every time it rains.
Any update on beach renourishment? Any date changes? Anything new going on there?
No, I think it's on our agenda tomorrow to approve money to start some of that sand. I know Chad and Mike have been working very hard with FDP and FWC and everybody else. We got to get the bids down to where it makes sense. If you got to do a 12-month project in 8 months, price goes up. So,
but 14 million over price was crazy.
Well, I mean, I
Maybe
want a house, but I want it in 6 months it should take a
maybe
year
you can ask for that when you go to Washington.
Well, we're asking
I mean, they do have to get it done in a short amount of time because of turtle season.
Do you feel like these representatives
like
Byron? I know Adam's always down here. I don't know if Martin's always down here, but
he is. Yeah.
Okay. Do those guys? Do they come down and see? Do they see what's going on enough?
Yeah, Byron Donalds has been here. Senator Scott's been here several times. I mean, you don't necessarily see them because they come in, they take a tour, and then they're gone. But they've all been here. Every single one of them have been here to see. Right after the storm, they were here to see our progress. They were all of them have been here within the last couple of months.
Yeah.
Commissioner Sandelli and I had lunch with Senator Scott, and he got to see what was going on.
Look at you hanging out with all the big wigs, man. Wow.
Begging for money is not something I like doing, and I'm not good at. Well, I shouldn't say not good at. I just don't like it. I've never been one that likes to ask for help, but we're in a time where we have to ask for help, and you have to swallow your pride, and you have to go do it. We all want
take that hat and hold it out.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm a prideful person, like most people. I'm sure that you want to try to do things.
Right.
But you can't do everything.
Is
on
the
your
town
own.
now? I know. Matt Caldwell was in town, and I'm going to follow up with him to see how things went. Is the town in good financial shape?
Yeah, I mean, I think
you paused there a little bit, Dan.
Well, good is a relative term, right? I mean, 6 months ago, people thought we were going to go belly up, and I think we've shown that that's not going to happen. We've got a lot of people working very hard to make sure that doesn't happen. We've got a lot of support and a lot of help from the state and from our senators and congressmen to help us make sure that doesn't happen. Even the county. I mean, everybody. I think when you work well together, you get way more accomplished. You're not always going to get a yes. You're not always going to get a no. But as long as you're willing to appreciate the help that you get, ask for the help when you need it, have an explanation as to why you need the help, and what it's going to go for, I think that gets a lot further than saying, well, it's their fault or it's their fault.
Yeah.
It's nobody's fault. It's something that has to be done, whether who owns it or how it gets done. If you need a pat on the back, you shouldn't be in this business, in my opinion. It's not about a pat on the back. It's about getting things done. And sometimes it takes a little longer, but as long as you get it done, that's all that matters.
Anything else that we missed?
Probably, but I think we covered it.
Nothing new on Times Square.
No, well, I think they're close to having a rendering out. I think, when we had that initial meeting with them, I watched the meeting. I think Joe covered it pretty well. When we had that meeting, I never thought in a million years walking out of that we would have 9 different people agree on something, and 10 if you include the town and the county and stuff. But I think when the county wasn't involved in that initial meeting, but I think in conversations that I've had with county commissioners and with the county staff, they were always, the first things out of their mouth is, what does the beach want? What does the beach need? And as long as you can show them that what you want and what you need makes sense, then they'll do it. And I think the proposal that you're going to see, I have not seen it, but I think what you see makes sense. It allows financial viability for the people that live there. It allows a cool vibe for the people that are going to come and visit here and that live here. The conversation that came out of it, if I think what's going to happen is going to happen, the rendering, I think most people will be pretty happy with.
To get Times Square rebuilt would be unbelievable. I mean,
the hardest part is getting everyone on the same page.
Yes. Got a lot of
if
different.
You're all rowing in the same direction.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it would be great for the town. That's the thing. I mean, having Times Square back would be. I mean, just look at having Bayside Park back and Nervous Nellies and in this group.
Well,
a
big thing that we did have. We had a meeting 2 weeks ago. The EPA actually and FEMA actually funded. We've been talking about getting urban planners and stuff coming in. They actually hired 2 firms. I think it's 2 firms to do that for us in Sanibel and Fort Myers. So we had an initial call with them and what is your priorities? Obviously Times Square. So they're actually doing what, we've had a couple meetings where we've talked to urban planners. It's the government is actually paying to have that done for us. And Bill Spakowski is part of that. So it was a very informative meeting. We had, Anita from the LPA, the chair of the LPA was there. I was there. All of our staff was there. Our planners were there to kind of give them, they gave us a list of 7 things that they gathered in the background. They've been working on this and we really didn't know about it. And they sent an email to us and, you get so many emails. Sometimes it's just
white noise.
I can do that. It is solicitations and stuff. And it looked like a solicitation email. And Bill Spakowski reached out to Anita, who then reached out to me and is like, we really haven't heard back from Sanibel or Fort Myers Beach or Fort Myers on this. And so she really got us in tune with what was going to come. And then we, obviously when we went back, we knew what was going on. We got involved. I know Sanibel's getting involved. So they're working. I don't know how long it's going to take, but they're working on Times Square. They're working on, we sent them over stuff on the coastal construction wall that was going to get built in the Grand Resort thing.
Did you ever think when you go, let's go, they'll go back a year. Did you ever think that we'd be sitting in a position listening to people bitch about the traffic to come to the beach after what was going on about a year ago?
To be honest with you, I hoped for it. I really did.
Yeah.
Because there was so much unknown 6 months, 8 months ago. Are people going to come back? Are people going to come and spend money? Are they going to? And it just reaffirmed.
Thank you. Appreciate
for me, as long as you have a beautiful beach and as long as you have the Gulf of Mexico, people are going to come. The buildings, businesses, all of that stuff is fluff. I don't want to use that word.
It's icing on the cake.
It's icing on the cake.
Yep.
They will patronize the businesses and they will, they'll rent the houses and they will buy houses but as long as you have the Gulf of Mexico and you have that sand, you're going to have.
And when that new sand comes in, holy smokes, it's going to be crazy.
We have good data because every Saturday when we leave, we mark where the traffic is backed up to. And it was much further yesterday.
All you need is a good weather day. I mean, the weather hasn't really cooperated the way it has in past years.
And the fact that the weather's been less than par.
And they're still coming.
People are coming to Southwest Florida. Wait. It's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
Spring training's about to start up, and then you're going to go right into spring break. And they may not be staying on the island because everything is booked, but they're staying off the island and they're going to come down. The causeway's still closed. They can't go to the causeway anymore. So they're going to come to Sanibel and Fort Myers Beach. That's the reason we're always the top 2 people that pay into the TDC funding. They come here for the beach.
Will the town be requiring owners to clear, maintain destroyed properties anytime soon? Well, we went over
Well,
that
yeah.
earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go back, Deborah. I don't mean to be a jerk, but we did talk about that earlier in the show, and maybe you missed it. Dan did talk about that. Last question, the most important question for everybody is who's going to win the Super Bowl?
Woo. She yells out the Chiefs. I don't know who's going to win the Super Bowl. I think it's going to
That's
be
why I asked you.
I think it's going to be a competitive game.
What's your prediction?
I think that the Niners squeak it out by a field goal.
Whoa, San Francisco.
Oh,
And
by
how many
3.
times will Taylor Swift be shown on TV? What's the
many.
over and under? Way too many.
Too many.
Right. Please, one game where Taylor Swift is not shown on TV. I'm begging the TV station, whoever's carrying that, not to show
Well,
it.
I'll tell you, whoever's making those. I mean,
I know. It's
the
been a
NFL's
boom.
It's a billionaire company.
The
Right.
NFL, like, I don't know what I heard. What there's like the top 50 shows ratings wise were NFL football games. And then you add
Yeah.
Taylor Swift on top of it. They couldn't have a better scenario
Well, I'll
for
tell
them
you,
to be in the
whether you
Super
love
Bowl.
or you hate Taylor Swift, what she has done.
Oh, she's
It's such a-
incredible.
I mean,
yeah.
To achieve the success, I don't know if I ever told you the story back in Minnesota. I don't remember how many years ago it was. She was 15 or 16 at the time. So however old she is, you can do the math. But we were at this little club in speaking of Maplewood. We were talking to someone just outside of Maple. I can't remember the name of the club or if it's even there anymore. But Montgomery Gentry was playing.
Oh, wow.
And Taylor Swift opened for them. And she sat there on this bar stool on the middle of the stage with a guitar all by herself. 15, 16 years old and sang, and you're like, wow, she's got a beautiful voice,
Yeah.
very
Who
slow
knew?
for me.
Yeah.
And then to see where she's at now, it's like, holy moly.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
almost as big as this podcast right here. I mean, I have high hopes for her that all she needs to do is fall down. If she
Yeah.
falls down, her career is going through the
Well, I'll
roof.
tell you, that's why I think Songwriters Festival does so well.
Mhm.
You get to see people that 2 or 3 years later,
Yeah,
you're like, holy
true.
moly, I got to see them.
Yeah.
Jay Allen and Kylie Morgan and people like that.
Yeah.
Kylie's now opening for Old Dominion, and Jay
Yeah.
had his concert in Fort Myers last night, and it was great to see a lot of the beach. So many people from the beach were there in support because
Nice. We weren't invited. Strange.
I
enough.
wasn't invited. I just showed up.
Wow. And I know that
You
Jason
made it
didn't need
anyway.
an
You would've gone.
invitation.
I was injured, man. I was
Yeah.
totally on
Yeah,
IR yesterday.
you were still
I
trying to put your
remember
eyeballs back.
having them on the show way back, way
Yeah.
way
Yeah,
back.
and they
yeah.
start. They got to know him just from coming down for the Songwriters
Yeah.
Festival, and now he's headlining a tour, and she's, on big stadium tours, and
Yeah.
and they were on a great trajectory before the storm, and then
Right.
before COVID, and then
Right.
COVID shut everything down, and it's so if you get a chance, go see Kylie Morgan and Jay Allen. They're up and coming guys. They're guys. They're
Ladies and
very great
gentlemen,
people.
big round of applause for the
All
mayor
right,
of
see you
Fort
guys.
Myers Beach, Dan Allers. Thanks, Dan.
All right. So it turns out that we both have to use the restroom, but I guess he gets to go first. So I will read the ad. Sorry about this segue here. Sylvester Companies is a licensed and bonded and insured builder in Southwest Florida and Central Michigan with full-time crews, registered and currently working on large-scale projects in Sarasota, Lee, Charlotte County. I don't even have my glasses on. I know. And right here in the town of Fort Myers Beach, Sylvester Companies has been working in the building industry for over 4 decades. That's almost as old as me and Ed. No, that's a lie. We're a little bit older. They specialize in new construction, restoration, major remodeling, floodplain construction, 50-50 FEMA rules. Boy, that you need help with that. And regulations, pool cages and lanais. They work with lenders, banks, municipalities, and insurance adjusters. Check them out at sylvestercompanies.inc.com. You can also check them out on their Facebook page, and you can contact the builder owner, Paul Sylvester, who, in Ed's infamous words, is sitting in his car right now waiting for your call at 989. Wow, my arm's not long enough. 239-5538. Or you can email them at propertyinspection@hotmail.com. Wow, it's so super tiny. Like, you really need a magnifying glass for that. So, all right, well, I think we're going to get rolling with our next guest. Sal, are you ready to come on? All right. So Sal's going to come on. He's going to be the last interview we have. He's, wanting to become on the town council. And I saved your last name for you to pronounce because I don't want to ruin Padone. Padone. So that's easy. So Sal is short for Salvatore. All right. With a T. Now, my turn. It's Italian. Are you from Italy?
No, I'm not. I am Italian. My parents, my father's family were immigrants. My mother's family is Italian, and they were here for almost 5 generations.
Wow. What part of Italy do you know?
My mother's family was Neapolitan.
Okay.
Neapolitan.
Perfect.
And my father's family, they were from the south. They were from Palermo. They were Sicilians.
Palermo Street?
No.
Pardon?
Palermo, Italy.
Palermo Street?
No.
So, Sal, you're one of the 5 candidates that are interested in being on the town council, and they're going to vote on that tomorrow. So first, tell everybody why you got interested in wanting to be on the town council. You kind of came out of the blue.
To be real honest with you, Ed, it really did. I've been restoring my home for the last year, so I've been incredibly busy.
On Jefferson?
On Jefferson. I've lived there for 20 some years. I've been on the island for 27 some years. And I kind of evaluated my personal situation. I've always donated time to the community. I have always volunteered for a lot of fundraising programs, and whenever I did have time, I would assess that and see if I did have the opportunity to devote some time. I would carefully spend time doing volunteer work, but having had to work full time pretty much the whole time I've been here, I really didn't have a lot of extra time or the time that it takes to dedicate.
Does take a lot of time
to it. The council job is it's a little bit of time. It's not, it's not like we're a small town,
yes.
and it's
and they got a great town manager right now, which is
the
nice.
People we have are just wonderful. Everybody we've had.
Now, have you been kind of watching the meetings and involved in somehow? Because you're not on any committee, so
no, I'm not. But I do stay abreast of the issues in my own fair way. I follow what I can, but I haven't been as diligent as far as following the town council meetings and the speakers and so on. But I've been bringing myself up to speed in the last month or so. I've been moving along pretty quick. It doesn't take me long to get myself going up to speed because I know a lot of the issues. I know what they're dealing with. I've been here 27 years. I pretty much know the scope of things. I've been through a lot of this in other areas.
And you live on Jefferson Street, so you know somebody on Jefferson Street.
I do. The actually, our very first mayor, back in, she had just become elected the first town mayor in 1997. I moved here in.
We're talking about Anita
Saracita. Probably, I have the greatest respect for her. She is one of my very dearest friends. I stopped by to visit her. She was a little bit under the weather the other day.
Really?
And I brought her some flowers. She said she woke up and she was having a tough Monday. I went out to the store and got her some flowers to cheer her up. And she was a little stunned when I told her. I said, "Did you hear about my I'm casting my hat into the ring?" And she said, "Oh, that's wonderful." We go back quite a ways. She knows how I operate. We've been good friends for many years, both in the business community and some of the fundraising community. And we know each other pretty well. I was actually introduced to her on New Year's. I think it was the first birthday that the town actually spent, because our New Year's celebration is the town's birthday.
That's right.
And Anita was not only our first mayor, but she was reelected and served the second term later on. I mean, she's a gal that just
wealth of knowledge.
She dives right into it. I mean, and her fortitude.
When you said to her that you're running, did she say, "You're crazy, it's nuts"? Or did she say,
we've had some conversations in that respect before with not only her, but other people I know that have been in local politics. They wanted me at one time to participate in the firemen's board.
Okay.
And, I thought about that because it wasn't a lot of time, but at the time I was having some personal issues with family and some of my own. Last couple of years, I've had few personal tragedies, and it has directed my life in the last 5 years, and my life has changed so dramatically from what it was a half a dozen years ago. I now find myself with no job because I did manage the hardware store at Santini Plaza.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't know that.
I was the manager there for 20 years.
Are they coming back?
No, they're not. Now, I just spoke to somebody who said they might have an interest from somebody else, not my owner that was there. Actually, my owner who had that hardware store was the brother of this hardware store. His brother runs this hardware store down here. Randy worked for me, and he was the older brother.
When you say down here, do you mean the goods?
The goods.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
that's Randy's brother Graham. Another wonderful family that's been in the community for
So
years.
nice.
Yeah, between the two hardwares, it was a family-run operation.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately, Randy, he had just bought our hardware like 2 years before the storm, so he was pretty extended on loans and so on.
And then that
And
happened.
the insurance just, from what I've been told, it didn't work out for him. And initially, there was 3 or 4 tenants in the plaza that knew right away they weren't going to rebuild.
So
But
have you
for
been
the most
talking
part,
to your friends at the Santini Plaza about what the hell's going on?
I stay
mean,
in
why-
touch with, yeah, you know what's amazing to me is, the plaza was very well damaged. They had nowhere near, they had pretty good flood water down there.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of damage, but it was amazing. When I went into the hardware store, there was like a lot of products hanging up high that was still, they emptied it all out, but nothing was workable there. Everything on the ground floor was lost.
So what are you hearing about the owner? Why is it taking him so long?
I've talked to my friends that own businesses there. Everybody is kind of a little bit in the dark. Now, the new owner is a good owner.
Yes.
He began putting money into the complex as soon as he made the purchase, because it was owned many years. Al Durrett owned the plaza. His crew owned the plaza for many years. And the new owner, I really don't think I've had the opportunity to meet him, but he had already invested a lot of money into upgrading the plaza. They were going to do some things with the Fishtail restaurant in the back and so on. And when the storm hit, everybody got kind of caught with their pants down. Yeah. And
I got caught with my pants down yesterday when I was walking. Did you hear about that?
I have to laugh because I just a month and a half ago had December, I think I had a serious fall myself. I fell in Anita's front yard, as a matter of fact.
Really?
Are you okay now?
I fell down, and Billy Beach, the former councilman, was doing some repairs at her house, and somebody had seen Billy go into her house, and I was just going over to check like a good neighbor to see, because usually somebody comes to her house, they pull up in a car. Billy is a neighbor.
Yeah.
He walked over, and I was talking to another neighbor, and the neighbor said, "Oh, somebody just walked into Anita's house." And that's how things are on the beach.
Sure. Checking
people
up.
that aren't here, I always keep an eye on the snowbird.
Did you fall on her new fence?
No, I walked on her property. Her property still had not been cleared yet, and I literally did the worst fall. 2 times I've fallen like this in my life, and I mean, I kissed the ground with my nose. I thought I had
Did
a
you break
broken
your
nose.
Now, how old are you?
Broke. I had
if you don't mind me asking, how
how
old?
old am I?
Yeah.
Don't tell the girls now.
Okay. I won't tell anyone. Nobody's watching.
I'll be 75 next
okay.
month.
Well, Jesus
You're
Christmas,
young.
man. That's
You're
not
a
good
spring
falling
chicken.
down.
I'll
now.
be 75 next month, but I took it in good stride. I healed up. I kept
Yeah.
wiggling my nose, and I said, "Well, if I don't feel severe pain, I guess I didn't break
Now,
it."
these your friends over here that
Oh,
you
this
brought?
is
What do you got
my
going
friend
on here?
right there is actually he's my lifelong friend from high school, to be honest
Wow.
with you. My dear friend Maurice Burns and
Maurice
his son
Burns.
Brendan Burns came down.
Brendan Burns. That sounds like if somebody popular, famous. Brendan
Yeah,
Burns.
it does. It sounds like a movie star name.
Brendan, I just found out, is a world traveler. He climbs mountains. He's been
Whoa.
on Everest.
Oh,
He's been
boy.
on
Brendan Burns, a mountain
Kilimanjaro. He's
climber.
been on all these crazy places.
Kilimanjaro,
Whoa.
Everest,
Yeah.
base
Yeah,
camp.
base camp.
Yes.
Everest,
Wow.
yeah.
Jeez.
And my friend Maury, like he is sometimes, he had a tragic something happened to him. I'm not
Yeah.
going to get into the details, but he was in
Please.
Health Park 2 days ago.
Wow. He looks good.
He's
right
dealing
now.
with a little bit of physical problem, but he was kind enough to come out here and help
Who
support
in
me.
the world?
Can I ask a question?
Not yet. Who in the world
Ah.
can ever say, I still hang out with a friend from high school? If I ever went back to my high school, I would want to strangle everybody ever knew, because
I think they would feel the
because
same
I
way
was the
about
guy
you.
that they wanted to stuff in the locker because I was a fat kid. They always wanted to shove me in the
Oh,
locker.
yeah, that's
And I just
crazy.
want to go back there and say,
No, I do go back with Maurice quite a bit. I worked for him and with his company in 10 years. And actually, it was his company that was instrumental in allowing me to become more familiar with the Fort Myers area,
Nice.
because we had a extremely large business machine company in Ohio, the largest Sharp electronics representatives
Wow.
in the state of Ohio, and he purchased a business down here in Fort Myers, which became our home office. And in the mid '80s, we visited Fort Myers way before that, but we finally
Once you come to Fort Myers Beach, you never go back. People fall in love with this beach.
It's
I've heard that
absolutely
story so many times.
It's absolutely true. I'm
All right,
very-
Sal, you're filibustering, but
All
go
right.
ahead, Kier. Go ahead.
So let's talk about some of the issues. What do you think? Well, and I might have missed this because I was in the bathroom. Is there one issue that sort of prompted you to kind of get involved at this time?
No, I honestly say my personal situation, because I've always wanted to be some way,
Okay.
shape, or form involved, and I
Okay.
have been involved, but it was always in a volunteer. The best volunteer work and the most time I spent to the city, I umpired for our little league for 8 years.
Sweet.
And I love the kids. I love the family. I love the community sense that Fort Myers Beach has.
Mhm.
And, that's kind of what attracted me first. I moved here in '97 with my wife, and I absolutely told her flat out I did not want to live on the beach, because having been here in '86, I knew what the traffic situation
Right.
was, the availability, and so on. I said, fine. I was staying at a lovely place out on the mainland, and she decided she wanted to come to the beach. And
Yeah.
she moved here 6 months before I did. I moved here in October. And when I moved here in October, she already had her place on the beach. So I just joined her here on the beach. I guess it was about a month, if that
Mhm.
long, before I decided, you know what, I want to live here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just absolutely fell. In fact, I pulled this shirt out, especially, everybody collects shirts.
Yeah. You
What
want
do
me
you
to
got
hold
there?
My
that?
shirt. Now watch this. I moved here in October of 1997.
97.
Okay. It didn't take me long to get up to speed. I was a member of the staff.
The Cypress Lake
This is
Center for the
Cypress Lake
Arts.
is our local would be the high school that our
Right.
students
Go
go to.
to. Yep.
And I moved here in the middle of October 1997. And as you see, I was already volunteering for
Yes.
fundraising work a month later. So
yes. And
it didn't take me long to get up to speed as far as
Right.
wanting to contribute to the
Mhm.
community. And
All right.
I've done that ever since.
So
now
Sal,
we're going to ask you now, what do you think about some of these developments?
Oh, I have an open mind to all of them. I was here when they first tabled the Margaritaville situation, and
so Sal, you're looking at a picture
was-
on my screen right
I
now.
was
Look at that picture.
That
That is the outrigger proposal.
Yeah,
Yes or no?
I did see that.
Yes or no?
I know you're trying to corner me, but you know what? I can
He's
say-
watched the show a couple of
I
times
would,
before.
I would be honest. Depending on when it goes through the steps that we take, which we put Margaritaville through, and I mean it was long and tedious.
Yes.
They're going to do it with all these new projects too. What I think happened, I thought Margaritaville took a little bit too much
Yes.
time.
It was extortion.
To some extent they
Yeah.
were applying pressure, but they have to remember, everybody has to remember too, that the community itself, the town was
different.
brand new.
Way
It was
different.
very newbie, and everybody was
Mhm.
now that they've had an experience that they can fall back on.
Is that a yes or a no for you? If you were voting
If
on a
it was- if
17-story building right now,
Well, to be honest with you, and it's only my personal taste, I think 17 may be a little bit too heavy for that particular area.
what's good enough?
I think, when you talk about saturation and
Saturation?
Density.
the
Yeah.
density,
So
well,
how-
saturation and density,
Yeah.
I see,
there's
I see.
different things.
How tall are you good with?
I couldn't set a figure on it, like one of the other fellows. I don't know if it was the mayor or not. When you talk stories, I have a heavy background in architectural and business properties and apartment complexes and stuff. And I know a story can be 14 feet high, it could be 18 feet high. It depends, if it's one of these exclusive buildings like the Grandview that's going on. The Grandview is our
That's
last
very
tall
nice.
building.
That's very nice. Have you
And
ever been
when
there?
I first moved here, I heard the edict that they weren't going to build any more tall buildings, but
Right.
they've probably built 3 or 4 of them since I've been here. When I first moved here, they were laying in pilings for Diamond Head. So when I
I see.
heard those pilings
Diamond Head was the
Mm-hmm.
all day,
end
I
of it.
used to
That was
listen
the
to-
end of it. Diamond
and
Head.
that was kind of the end of it.
Yep.
Diamond Head and the Going down on the south end, their sister complexes. we did have the 2 anchors down on the south end. I give a little bit of respect to the fact that the Outrigger was an anchor property along with the Wyndham
Yes.
down there. There were 2 nice sized properties
Yes.
that were attractions for that south end,
Mhm.
because the south end, other than Santini Plaza and whatever boating you can do on the backyard there was really not too much on the beach side except for those 2 areas. A lot of condos down there. The condos are wonderful, but they're cut off. The public is cut off from the beach.
What?
Goodness.
They want
Oh, you
take
need to
your
buy
boat.
that?
Go ahead, dear. So the other question I have is, what is your opinion on how the town manager is doing?
The new town manager, I'm not totally familiar with because I haven't really been. I used to watch the town meetings, but since I came back to my home after the damage, I haven't had computers. I haven't had. It took me a while to get my TVs in line and so on. I used to follow the meetings religiously, and I really admit that I haven't been following them too closely in the past few months. But now I'm ready to gear up and get up to speed. I think so far, without knowing the town manager personally, I think in general that whole group has really done a respectable
What about the
job.
town council?
I like the town council. I'm not familiar. I'm more familiar with Jim and Dan. The other folks I've never really had. I saw Karen here for the first time when she was down here for an interview. I know a little bit about who she is. The other fellow I really don't know at all. I used to know the former town councils. I knew almost everybody on the councils. I just haven't had an opportunity to really. But I think the job they're doing has been adequate considering the scope. People just don't understand how
much they've had to deal with. Yeah.
Initially, they were expecting things from this town council, and I said, we lost a lot of good people on our old council because of a lot of friction that happened that first year that did affect our election.
Mhm.
And we lost a lot of dedicated people because a lot of the newbies, so to speak, were not.
When you fell at Anita's house, does
Oh,
your
boy.
knee still hurt? Because my knee is killing me right now.
No, I
from
didn't
when
hit my knee.
yesterday.
No, my knee. I mean, I stopped the ground with my face. That's what broke my fall, and that's the
How
only
long
thing.
did
I
your
know
face
how
hurt?
that goes.
How long did your face hurt?
I had scabs. I had internal bleeding. It took me 45 minutes to stop the bleeding from my nose.
Did you go to the hospital?
No, I went
Because you
home.
don't have health insurance, right?
No, I have health insurance.
Well, then why didn't you go to the hospital?
Why do I have to go to the hospital?
Because you could have broke your nose. You could have brain damage.
I've
You
been
could have
around. I've been around a little bit. I can tell. I've been around sports injuries and stuff. I can tell if I have a broken nose or
Dude,
not.
that's not a
And then
sports
you just
injury.
put it back
I've
in
lived
shape.
with-
It's not a
You just,
sports
like,
injury.
work it back in.
I've lived with this Roman nose for quite a few years.
I went to the bathroom 10 minutes ago. My knee's killing me from yesterday.
Well,
It's like, that's
that-
not a sports injury. That's an old fart injury. Like an old fart falls down.
No, I tried. I'm
I've
one of those
fallen
guys.
and I can't get up. That's what I should have said on the
Okay.
video yesterday.
I'm kind of resilient. I have had. I have spent. I did have a. I confess. Back in the early 2000s, I want to guess around 2003, 2004, I had a 5-way bypass, and it was a changing.
Yeah.
It was a changing
Jeez.
experience in my life. I've lost a lot of weight, and I look quite a bit different than I did a
Okay.
few years ago. But I am a pretty resilient guy.
And just out of curiosity,
Can I ask one question that's relevant? So if you were to
my
get
questions
on,
aren't relevant at all.
No. Because you always have to bring it back to you. If you were to get on the town council
Yes.
this time, would you run
Oh yes.
the next time?
Oh, absolutely. I have. I am comfortable enough with that commitment now because not having to have a job to go to. My job has been putting my house back together,
Right.
literally. And I'm even surprised, and a lot of my friends and relatives are surprised that I came back to the island. But my love for the island runs very, very deep, from the children to the family benefits to the, it was just the kind of place I want. This place is so special. And what's really special about this island are the people
Mhm.
that occupy this island on a full-time basis. That I've been in many areas in Florida. I've covered the East Coast. I made my bones originally in St. Augustine, which is a very protected community.
Yeah,
also
for sure. More
and
protected.
my
yeah.
heart, other than Fort Myers Beach, I do have a fondness for St. Augustine, and I like and appreciate the way that they have preserved their heritage and their
Mhm.
history, and it's just a beautiful
and because
community.
it's going to be on the application, and you'll have to answer this question. You can answer it here just to get it clear. You've never killed anybody or killed any pets or done anything crazy like that, right?
No,
I mean,
nothing like that at all.
That's on the
I have had
application?
my moments, but no.
wait,
I-
what is that? What does that mean?
Oh, everybody gets in a
Thoughts.
little trouble.
Yeah,
I was a pretty crazy kid when I was young.
What's the
Weren't we?
craziest? What's the
we got
craziest?
into
Sal,
some
what's the
trouble.
craziest thing you've ever done?
The craziest thing, when we were young, cars. It was all about cars.
Racing cars.
Racing cars. We
You know what
grew
Kim
up-
used to do? She used to light cats on fire.
I did not
No,
ever do
she
that.
didn't.
Yeah.
No, well, we
I
had.
did
I
not
knew
ever
some people
do
that were pretty
that.
mean to
No.
cats, but no, I'm a cat lover.
I
have a
love
cat.
animals. What a horrible
I love
thing
dogs
to
and
say.
cats. I've
I
always
don't
been
even-
a family
oh.
guy.
Do you know how they
Idiot.
scream when they're on fire? Crazy.
Just
No,
because
that's
you
horrible.
had no life when you were a kid. Just because Sal and I got out and got to do some fun things.
No, yeah, it was all about cars and girls
Yeah.
and rock and roll. I come from Cleveland, Ohio, rock and roll capital. of the
Rock and Roll Hall of
country.
Fame
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite artist?
Best artist all time.
Oh boy, that's a difficult question because I would have to list about 10 people.
Pick the top one.
I'll tell you what, I was a huge fan of Carlos Santana
Oh,
when they
yeah.
first
Oh, nice.
I was a huge
He's a
fan.
killer drummer.
Being from Northeast Ohio, and I do play myself. I play the bass guitar. I was involved
do?
in rock bands when I was very young.
Yeah.
And Joe Walsh was one of the local boys, and I had opportunity to jam with him on occasion.
Wow.
Yeah, we had quite a few.
Second favorite band after Santana.
Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh, third favorite
Big,
band
huge
after
fan
that.
of George. I like Billy Joel. I was big in Fleetwood Mac. You know,
Worst band of all time.
the worst band of all time.
Pink Floyd.
Pink
Pink
I
Floyd.
went.
Don't tell me.
No.
Horrible.
Pink Floyd. You don't like Pink
Worst
Floyd?
music ever. Unless
He's
you're
done-
completely
No,
high on
you have
something.
you have to understand those guys. I think were a little
Horrible
above
music.
the average rock and roll.
Let him do his
person.
answer.
Come on.
You
You
know,
should
a
be
lot of people-
disqualified
a lot
from
of
the
people
town
didn't
council
like
just
Pink
for that
Floyd.
opinion.
Yeah, just for that opinion. That's too bad. No, I'm
'Cause
pretty.
that's so
I'm
relevant.
pretty much a plain old rock and roller. I like Stevie Ray Vaughan, that type of.
Mhm.
I
You
see.
know, I like Southern rock.
You like the
Southern
jammers.
Allman Brothers. That sort
Were
of
you
thing.
invited to the
38 Special. Did you ever like
Um,
38
you know,
Special?
they were a little. They
Little
were
too
a little.
poppy to you?
A little. After my time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
my time
Wow.
was. My time was.
75, dear.
I went
Yeah.
basically, from the early Beatles to Black Sabbath.
Now, you're 75. Do you think, 4 years is a long time?
40 years is a long time.
No, not 40. 4 years is a long
4
time.
years.
Yeah.
Oh, 4 years for what?
For if you're elected to the office,
I have
4
no
years, you'll be
problem with
70.
that.
He's too old?
Well,
You know,
we're.
Oh, my Lord.
Is
well,
it too old for the president?
I know, right?
The
Yes,
president?
yes, it is.
You
It
think so?
is. Yes.
But I think I have. I
Thank you,
honestly,
guys.
I honestly have to say, I think my my vigor, my
I would have never guessed 75. You don't look 75.
Nobody thinks I'm 75. That's why I don't want you to
Right.
tell the girl. No, seriously.
Now, when
I
you
have
keep
been
saying the
blessed-
girls, like, what is
Uh,
your
well,
wife? Well, you're not.
You know, I
your
had a
wife?
couple of tragedies in my life, which
Oh.
I lost my one and only daughter in 2016. She was a juvenile diabetic.
Oh.
She died at the age of 42. She actually was the national spokesperson for the American Diabetes Association.
Wow.
And
That's
I had with pride, I used to hang her picture in the hardware store of her delivering her address to the Senate
Wow.
on the garden grounds in
Nice.
Washington, D.C. They flew her up there with her guide dog because she was totally
Mhm.
blind. She flew up there and spoke before the Senate before
for her.
they voted on the Affordable Care Act in 2004. And she swayed the vote of 6. She was a very effective speaker, and she swayed the vote of 6 senators, including Durbin from Illinois. They changed their votes, and they overturned a couple of issues. I won't get into the issues, but there was a lot of not nice things that were,
Well, you got to
that
be
were
proud
hitting
about
in
that,
that.
for sure.
And they turned their vote over and changed it so that it was much more favorable,
Very
and
nice.
it has affected
Good
a
for
lot
you,
of people
man.
ever
Got to be
since.
proud about that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm extremely proud. I got a picture of her addressing the Senate, and right behind her was her sponsor, Ted Kennedy, and she was very
That's
proud
great.
of that.
So, lastly,
And I lost my wife in 2018,
oh man,
and then I lost my home in the
Jeepers
storm.
creepers,
So it's
man.
been a
you're
tough
keeping
couple
it
of years.
together for
Yeah.
all that crap.
Yeah. No
You
kidding.
know, it's thickened me. It's hardened me.
Yeah.
I was with the Woolfolk gang that left the island. I was gone actually for only a period of 3 months before I was able to
Come back.
get back
Wow.
in and at least started putting the pieces back together. So
Mhm.
I fared well. My home is a ground level home, and it actually suffered very little damage as far as structurally, which was, I didn't even have so much as a broken
Right. You never
window.
know.
That's
You never
nice.
know.
You never know
sometimes,
when
yeah.
that, and it was amazing. Like homes right next to me, totally gone. I mean, just wiped off their pads and so on.
Crazy.
So
It's been a
let,
tough road.
let people know out there why you really, final thing, why you want to be on the town council, and then we'll let you roll, man.
Well, when this seat opened up, it was an immediate opening because of Billy's departure. So I had never really given it that much thought. And when the seat opened up, I said, well, at least let me get my hand in the ring, let them know my intentions. Because I've talked with some of the politicians over the years, and it was always a matter of time and my dedication and being able to do a good job when I get in there. And this opportunity opened up, and it actually was on the spur of the moment. I was thinking about it for about 2 or 3 days, and finally I said, well,
Good
let
for
me
you,
check
man.
the application process. So I said, oh, the application's relatively simple. I filled it out just to get my name in, and it's been run and go ever since.
Good, man.
So,
Good for you.
I'm prepared for the challenge. I have all the tools. I have a very extensive and diversified background that I bring to the table. Most people that know me know a little bit about my background, but I'm prepared to. Monday's the big day.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's the big day. I'll be able to speak to council directly and share with them a little more about my business experience and where I can really contribute. And we'll see where it goes from there.
And honestly, even if you don't get it tomorrow, who knows who's going to get it tomorrow? Hopefully you'll stay involved in other committees. And
Well,
if you-
now immediately I thought about that because we do have a wonderful qualified Barb and the other people. I'm not real familiar with the fellows. I know the fellows are on the LPA.
Yep.
And that's a good committee
Yeah.
because it's
lot of
very
decision-making there.
very closely tied in with city council. And I do have the skills that would allow me to participate in that committee also, which I would I would welcome. So if I were to lose, I think
it's not losing
no, it's
because you could
it's
still
not
run.
losing.
You could still run and
I
win.
could still run in October and win in October, November,
Yeah.
whenever the election is. But if I want to contribute immediately, I think if it turns out that one of the representatives from the LPA
has to go on the
has
council.
to go on, there's going to be an open
Because
seat there.
two of the 5 that are running are on the LPA. So
Are on the
it
LPA.
might be
Yes.
that somebody, and
And,
that LPA seat is going to be important.
Yeah, and I think one of the two said, I don't think like Dan said, it really doesn't matter whether they're going to continue on.
Right.
It would be nice to have an uninterrupted service where they still have to elect people.
That's
Even
right.
if
That's
they
right.
install somebody, they're not guaranteed that
That's right.
person will get
That's right.
reelected. So there could be a break in the continuity, but we'll live with that and figure it out when we get there.
Big hand for Sal, everybody. He's going for the town
Thanks,
council on
everybody.
Monday. Thank you for
so
coming on.
much.
Thank you all for
Thanks to
everything.
that listening audience.
Thank you,
Also,
Sal,
a lot
man.
of my good friends watching.
Yeah, they
today.
were. And they were saying great things about you.
Thank you so much. Thank
all right,
you,
Sal.
Ed.
We'll see you soon, man. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right. All right, everybody. Before we bust out of here, I do need to tell you about a couple of folks that if anybody on my Facebook says that Pink Floyd is the best band ever, I'm blocking them. Never listen to Pink Floyd. I'm guessing Taylor Swift? Yeah, of course. All right, everybody. Before we bust out of here, I need to tell you about Overall Outdoor Services, because if you're getting your house redone, there's a chance you're going to need landscaping redone. There's a chance you're going to need a new lanai or a new pool cage. They specialize in landscape design. We know people that are using Overall Outdoor Services, and Chris is the person you need to call. Irrigation and drainage, marine division specializing in fast dock repair, because you might need your dock repaired because your dock might have been knocked down by that crazy storm that happened 17 months ago. They are state licensed and insured contractors serving Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, Captiva, Bonita, Cape Coral, Naples. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. Just like our blue hoodies are everywhere. They're everywhere. And they can handle almost any outdoor service. Give Overall Outdoor Services a call. Right now, they're sitting in their car waiting for you to call at 239-322-2661. 239-322-2661. Thank you all for coming to Wahoo Willie's today. Thank you all for buying our merchandise. Good luck to everybody tomorrow at the town council meeting. Thank you all for coming to Fort Myers Beach and spending your money, because these folks on the beach really need you to spend your money. I mean, listen, you're all going to croak someday, and you can't take your money with you. So you might as well spend it right here at Wahoo Willie's, right? And tip well, for crying out loud. Don't be a cheapskate. These people are working hard, and then they got to get in that traffic and drive all the way to where they live. So they need your tip money, too. We're going to be back tomorrow covering the town council meeting, and then we're going to be back next. Dear, wife, hello? We got some people standing over here trying to end the show here. And we'll be back next Saturday at Margaritaville for our next show. Thank you all for tuning in. We're going to be watching the Super Bowl next Sunday at Mangaritas on 41. Thank you all. Bye-bye.